Hello, my name is Jeff Rolka. I want to thank you for checking out my video. This is about vowel placement. I get lots of questions about vowel placement. And I'm going to take a little bit of a different twist on this in the hopes that it will help you, and in particular help you make the best use of the videos here on YouTube. So when we talk about vowel placement, the fact of the matter is that vocal pedagogists, people who teach singing, aren't in agreement about it. And this is largely because the physical sensations, what it feels like for me to sing an E vowel versus what it might feel like for you to sing an E vowel or someone else to sing an E vowel, are entirely subjective. It will change from person to person to person. And so that's why you'll find that there's lots of examples of, sing this vowel forward, or no, you need to sing it back. We're not even in agreement on this. Because placement and placement terminology is so subjective, what I try to do is couple vowels together based upon their normal predispositions in the English language, the way that we speak these vowels. And I'm going to talk you through the different vowels, the 5 cardinal vowels that we use, and how you can look to them to see if you're using them correctly, if you have a balanced singing voice, and then how you can group them in order to get alignment of all your vowels. Before we dive into this, thank you if you've chosen to subscribe or share this video with your friends. I really appreciate that. There are numerous ways that you can support this channel. They are detailed in the description, and I hope that you will avail yourself of some of those. Some of them are just clicks. So, for starters, the 5 cardinal vowels are arranged from the narrowest forward-focusing vowel in speech patterns, and then across the spectrum to the narrowest rearward-focusing vowel. So this is front of the mouth, rear of the mouth, narrow, narrow. In the middle are what we'd call the wider vowels. E is that first narrow, tightly focusing vowel. And E is really, really good at getting an initial focus to one's voice. So if you're singing and you've got a lot of air in your voice, or you're singing and you've been singing for a while and you're kind of getting into the area by your break or the secondo passaggio, but there it gets a little bit airy. The E vowel can help you move through those areas and start to achieve a more narrow or balanced sound. There's lots of words that you can use to get that vowel sound initially in your speaking voice. B or free are good vowels for that. And again, this vowel, if you've been airy, quite often when you start to use the E vowel, things will adduct more properly. The vocal fold will close more effectively for you, more easily. And from there, you can then start to work with A. You will notice in my videos that very frequently, particularly in the new vocalist videos, I start with the E vowel. That's on purpose because that vowel focuses pretty easily for most people. They move on to A because A is ever so slightly of a wider persuasion. It's a little bit wider. It's not as narrowly focused as the E vowel is. And what that can help us do is stimulate airflow. So for vocalists that are trying to smooth out their ascending passages and smooth out the areas approaching the secondo passaggio, or the break if you prefer, the A vowel helps you maintain that adduction. It's pretty narrow, kind of like E, but it's a little bit more open, and so it can be easier to ascend and stimulate airflow as you ascend. So let's say you're doing pretty well down here, but you've been having problems moving that a little higher up. A is your friend. You'll notice in my videos I very frequently will change from E to A at the top of a 5-note scale when practicing moving in an ascending fashion into the zona di passaggio. I do this on purpose to take advantage of the slight widening of that A vowel as it comes out of the E. So the E is keeping you narrow. The A opens ever so slightly, stimulates a little airflow, but it still is pretty easy to retain the closure of the vocal fold or the adduction of the vocal fold, and that keeps the consistency of your voice happening. When it's time to start moving over the secondo passaggio with an ascending scale pattern, ah and o are the two choices that will help. Again, they're slightly wider than the A vowel, so they're going to loosen still more of that adduction. But here, very frequently, it's easy to slide off the vocal fold. This is where O can sometimes be more advantageous than ah. So let's say you've got a vocalist and you're working over the secondo passaggio, or you're working over the secondo passaggio, and E is too narrow. E, and you find yourself pulling chest or straining. A is your choice then to start your passages. A, but we need to incorporate the other vowels. If ah slides off, and you get that very, very airy tone, you're losing the adduction of the vocal fold. Some might say you're losing the chord closure. Others may say you're losing compression. We're talking about the same thing. Adduction is the word that I use because it, to me, makes the most sense, and it's also part of my training. Adduction means moving towards the body's center mass. When we sing and the vocal folds are adducting, they are moving again and again and again, very frequently, very rapidly towards the body's center mass. They're not held closed, which is why I kind of cringe when I say chord closure, though I know that it's a very common way of referring to it. Nonetheless, if you're sliding off with ah, O, and the rearward focusing nature of it in the speaking voice can be very, very helpful. We're taking advantage of our habitual speech patterns when we talk about this placement stuff. So A to O can oftentimes help you stay on the vocal fold. Keep it adducted. And then when you get that sense of retaining the adduction of the vocal fold, it becomes more easy to switch to ah. And so on and so forth. We have to practice all these vowels across the secondo passaggio, but in the initial stages of it, the A to ah or A to O are usually really good combinations, and these are the combinations you'll find in the videos online. This is why I do that. Finally, we come to U, the final vowel of our 5 cardinal vowels. U is a very, very helpful vowel if you are not yet adept, you cannot yet make the transition into your head voice or cricothyroid dominant singing voice, and you want to learn how to do that. U, it's like an insurance policy on adduction because it's quite challenging, or it's very obvious if you sing U and you have air in your voice. You, 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 you. And there the direction becomes, try to remove the air. Let it be dull sounding. You, you, you. With that hollow, dull, open, if you prefer, sound, you, you, you. You can hear that there's an absence of air. It still sounds very light and heady. It's my head voice, and I'm not in any way trying to match timbres. I want to hear that timbre so I know there's no air in the voice, so I know that I have good vocal fold adduction. This means that my vocal folds are elongated. I've entered cricothyroid dominant singing voice, and I can start practicing going from my cricothyroid dominant singing voice, head voice, to my thyroarytenoid dominant singing voice, chest voice. You, you, you. That is very useful in the beginning stages of working through our registration events. And it's what I use in my videos to help get that process started. Additionally, that can be a very, very helpful vowel in the zona di passaggio, but somewhat to a lesser degree if you're getting airy there. So if you're singing an ascending phrase, it gets very wispy. you. Practice it descending with oo. You. Because of the way that we usually speak the vowel oo, it has a tendency to help us keep the vocal folds closed and keep the sound, again, I'm going to talk in terms of voice placement, back a little ways. And that keeps the vocal folds a little bit more adducted. If we try to bring things too far forward, that's when we usually abduct or separate the vocal fold before we learn how to retain that adduction. So this is how I like to think about and talk about vowel placement. And I realize it is contradictory to a lot of what you might see online. There are those who insist a vowel should be placed here or placed here. But due to the subjective nature of those physical sensations, I like to group vowels together, knowing their typical speech patterns, in the hopes that those are going to help you find a nice balanced adduction of your voice from which to then move on to all the rest of the cardinal vowels and all the other vowels that we sing, and ultimately on into the music that you sing. As always, I hope this helps. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comments or find me on Twitter. My name is Jeff. Take really good care of your voices, enjoy singing, and hopefully we'll see you again. Bye.